Yeah, I had just barely gotten on campus when people were running past me, and um, it, I didn't fully understand what was happening until people started shouting that there was a gun, and
Orem, Utah, the kind of place where the biggest news is usually a new strip mall opening, but this week, Orem made headlines for something else entirely: the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Yeah, that happened here.
First off, what a beautiful place. This is my first time in this part of Utah. I've been in other parts, but this is my first time in the part where people live. I can see why people like it here. It is beautiful. The mountains, man, gorgeous. Well, I'm here in Orem, Utah, which has suddenly been thrown onto the national stage. Most of us know about the assassination of Charlie Kirk at this time, but this is Orem, Utah. It's a community that flies under the radar, not much happens here, and the shock here is real. I think more importantly, we should be asking, how do we settle our political differences going forward?
Orem, a fast-growing city of about 100,000 people just south of Salt Lake City, isn't used to making national headlines, but on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, that changed. During one of his signature campus debates at Utah Valley University, Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of roughly 3,000 people, and overnight, this community was thrust into the national spotlight.
I'm going to go around and ask the people of Orem what the mood is in this city and how they feel about an assassination happening right here in their backyard. So you were here in Orem when the news broke?
Yeah, we're at work in Provo, yeah.
Okay. Well, what was your reaction when you first heard about it?
I mean, it was just kind of like like, is this a joke kind of a thing? Like, is this like a real headline? Because I know I had seen the story that he was in town, earlier in the day, and then just like later in the day when seeing the headline, it was kind of surreal. So, yeah.
Has the mood changed here in Orem since the news broke?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's changed everywhere, right? Everybody's talking about, what this means, like what it means for our country, like what's the climate in our country that like led to this. And so, I mean, hopefully it's starting constructive conversations. I know there's also the potential to have this spiral out of hand, but I hope people are taking a look at what they believe on both sides, on all sides of the issue.
I'm the same way. I just kind of hope that people look at how we respond to political differences. I'm the same way.
Yeah, that's good.
So you feel like this reflects more so bigger issues in the country than it does like impacting the community locally?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both, right? I mean, I think, Governor Cox kind of expressed some of this in what he was saying, but it's like, it's sad when it's something that happens locally, right? And somebody that lives here is from here, so I think that makes it hit a little closer to home and like what's happening. We can't judge everybody based off of the actions of one person, but it's kind of like, what are the factors leading to this, right?
And one last thing, what would you like for people from outside of Utah to understand about Orem?
I mean, I think it's the same thing for people everywhere across the country. I honestly am of the mind that the world is a little better than it gets painted to be. I mean, there's still hard things happening and there's still, bad actors and things like that, but I feel like Orem and as well as anywhere, like people are just trying their best to do the best that they can. And so I think if we see a little more of the humanity in that, I think we're all a little better off.
All right. What's your name?
My name is Michael.
Michael. So what was your first reaction when you heard this story here?
I would say that my first reaction was just kind of shock, just because things like that don't happen here in Utah.
Right. I mean, Orem, it's a pretty family-friendly city, right?
Yeah.
not much happens here. So when something does happen here, it's kind of unexpected.
Yeah, most definitely. Just with it being such a quiet place and such a safe place, something to that large of an incident definitely is shaking the place. And not only that, but you can feel it in the air here in Orem.
So would you say that this story reflects more so the community of Orem, or is it more so like a national story, would you say?
I would say it's more of a national story.
One of my biggest takeaways from this whole thing is that I think we should just rethink how we go about our political differences with people.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've even told a couple of people that I care about that this is no longer left versus right. This is just humanity. Everyone has a life to live, and everyone wants to live it to the fullest, and taking that away from someone is no one's right to do.
What would you like people from outside of Utah to know about Orem?
I would say that Orem is just a quiet town. A lot of college students, a lot of great people, a lot of young families. A lot of young people live here, young families live here. A great college campus at UVU, and it's continuing to grow. More people come and more people settle in, and it's just a vibrant, happy life here in Orem, and for something like this to happen is quite the tragedy.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I would just say that everyone has the right to live. It's such a privilege and a gift to be able to wake up every morning and to live. And so that's why we need to make sure that we live our faith, our religion to the fullest. We understand where we stand with people, tell people that we love them, and just be good people. That's all we need to be is good and love everyone.
Next, I was able to talk to a family whose son was on campus when it happened.
Yeah, I had just barely gotten on campus when people were running past me, and I didn't fully understand what was happening until people started shouting that there was a gun, and then just all the crowds that were running, and yeah.
Must have been horrifying when that happened, when you first realized what was happening.
Yeah, it just, I don't know, you don't experience anything like that, and so it was like I didn't know how to respond exactly. If it wasn't for all the people who did know what to do, like the police officers telling us to keep going, to keep running. There's a lot of people confused and looking around and not running, and that could have made the situation worse.
And how has the mood changed around here in Utah?
I think it's very interesting because it's brought a lot of people closer together, and particularly on campus, it's very, I don't know the word, it's just, you don't imagine the whole campus getting shut down like this, and I don't know.
Sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Have they mentioned how long they're going to keep the school shut down?
Yeah, they've given statements about like a multi-stage process. They're gonna have the staff come back first, and then the students will be brought back on campus about Wednesday.
What would you like the world to know about Utah and the community of Orem and the college campus here? What would you like the world to know about that?
I don't know. I've always had a lot of faith and hope in our country, and just to see something like this happen is very eye-opening. And I know that one person was an exception to the rule, and that there are a lot of good people in America, and that we need those people to make the right choices. Yeah, we need them to start doing something and helping and making this world better, because it seems that only the people so full of hatred are the ones that act nowadays.
They're the loudest. One of my biggest takeaway from all of this is that I really hope that we just change the way that we treat each other with political differences when people have different opinions. Freedom of speech is what this country's built off of, right? Do you feel similarly?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of liberal beliefs, but I would never wish anyone to be shot like that. It's terrible. And some people are saying he's not a hero. That's exactly the type of person we want kids to look up to. And it's interesting talking to adults. Some adults didn't even know who he was, but you talk to kids, they know who he was and is. Because his legacy will go on forever. Yeah, we loved watching his discussions and his debates on TV. We watched it a lot as a family, and he just spread a lot of good. And he wasn't afraid to not say his beliefs, which is something that I think we all need to do better at.
It takes a lot of courage these days.
Yeah.
A lot of angry people out there.
Yeah.
Social media is coming to be real life now.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's devastating, and I feel so bad for his wife and kids and his parents. I also feel really sad for the shooter's family. That's devastating too. I don't know how you deal with that.
I just kept having the thought that, I said, why? Like, why would he be allowed to be shot? I think there's got to be a reason. And then to my mind, it came to me that strike me down and I'll be even stronger. And his wife said something to that same effect. They don't know what they did.
Yeah. How did you feel knowing that your son was here when it happened?
I was scared. I heard from my wife that he was on campus. So yeah, I was just wanting to know. I want to know he's okay, and I wanted to know that he got out of there. And so I soon heard he was fine, but
Absolutely.
Now I'm worried emotionally about that. But yeah, it's pretty traumatic.
I was telling your son over here how my biggest takeaway is how I feel like what I would like to see happen is a change in how we approach political differences and people who have different opinions. She said it really well about how she would never wish anything violent against someone who has different opinions.
Well, the thought I had with that is, people have been commenting on the reaction. It's been peaceful. People aren't burning stuff, breaking stuff, causing violence, or trying to tackle or take out anybody they think looks like the guy that ran off. Where some other situations across America, there's been a lot of violence stirred up by one person commits violence against somebody else, and then everybody's reaction is to escalate that violence. So I was impressed that hasn't happened here.
Yeah, and about that, what would you like everyone to know about Orem, Utah, and this college campus community, and just about Utah in general? What would you like people to know?
Yeah, I grew up here, and it's getting bigger. This is the biggest university now in Utah, I hear. I think it's still correct. And I went here, and it's where I grew up, and it was just such a fun town that I never feared for anything. But, bad things do happen here too, but they're rare, and I feel like it's mostly a peaceful community with great people and good neighbors, and people watch out for each other.
What happened here in Orem wasn't supposed to happen here. This is a suburban city of 100,000 people that usually flies under the radar, a place better known for chain restaurants, mountain views, and being just far enough away from Salt Lake City to feel separate. And yet, this week, Orem became the center of a national tragedy. Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of thousands of people on the campus of Utah Valley University, and overnight, this community was pulled into the harshest kind of spotlight. For the people who live here, the shock is still setting in. Some see it as completely out of character for Orem. Others see it as just another sign of where America is headed, where political fights don't just stay online anymore, they spill into real life.
And after talking to people here, maybe that's the hardest part, is realizing that something like this could just happen anywhere with no announcement, and it could happen in the safest, most insulated places, places where you wouldn't think something like that would happen. Unfortunately, it can happen anywhere these days in this country.
Look, Orem is going to move forward because that's what communities do, but the bigger question is what comes next for the country? If something like this can happen here, it can happen anywhere. And that should leave all of us wondering what kind of America we're actually living in right now.
Let me know what you think in the comments about all of this down below.